January 24th meeting to order. And Raymond, you're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance for us. Is that right, sir?
Yes, thank you so much, Mayor. If you'd please rise if you're able and face the flag. Place your hand over your heart and recite with me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and please remain standing for the invocation from Councilmember Lamb.
Thank you. As we gather today as City Council members and City staff, guide and direct our actions, ever mindful of our responsibility to be of maximum service to our community and responsible stewards of its resources. Amen.
Amen.
City Clerk, would you be so kind as to do the roll call?
Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ross.
Here.
Mayor Carnevale.
And unfortunately, Mayor Carnevale was here for the study session, but because of ill health, felt it was in our best interest for him to go home and take his germs with him. We appreciate that. Is there any agenda finalization we should know about?
I have no changes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Changes, thank you. And any initial public comment, City Clerk? Would you, if we do, will you read the statement of participation?
A public comment is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are within the City Council's jurisdiction but not on the agenda. Because of restrictions contained in California law, the City Council may not discuss or act on any item not on the agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or ask a question for clarification. The mayor may also request a brief response from staff to questions raised during public comment or request that a matter be agendized for a future meeting. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. If you are a member of the public and you wish to address the City Council, please complete a request to speak form available at the entrance and submit it to the City Clerk. You will be called upon at the appropriate time. If you have materials or other items to present to the members of the City Council, please do not approach them. All materials shall be presented to the City Clerk for distribution. I did not receive any request to speak forms, but if you're a member of the public and you wish to provide comments to the Council on any non-agenda items, now is the time. If you would like to, please raise your hand. And I see no hands raised.
Thank you. And now we have council reports, and we are starting with Councilmember Lamb.
Thank you so much. I first wanted to say that the first item that I was working on over the last couple weeks, and it's our Senior Inspiration Awards. And last year we were able to recognize Joanne Kennan for all her unbelievable efforts. And this year we have another candidate who's unparalleled in his contributions to our community, and it's Dirk Tack. And his primary focus of assistance to our community is the Cathedral City Senior Center, but also the Cathedral City Boys and Girls Club. So we're happy to represent and to honor him. And the Senior Inspiration Award luncheon, where he'll be celebrated along with the honorees from other cities, is March 28th. And that's a luncheon. Yesterday we had our very first yoga in the amphitheater, so you don't know about it. It's yoga classes, one at 8:30 and one at 10 a.m. It's on every Tuesday from, started yesterday, January 23rd, all the way through the last Tuesday in March. And Nicole Chune and Patty Wexler are 2 instructors. We had about 60 people out, and they were able to brave what we consider the winter cold here in the desert. We had people standing next to me from Winnipeg who thought it was just an absolutely fabulous summer day. So they were happy. So it was great, and this is a great program, and I can't recognize and thank enough for Antonio Beishu, who's on our Parks and Community Events, for really spearheading this effort and making sure that everything is really streamlined and running smoothly for the residents of our community and for the residents of the valley. The police department recently held their DUI checkpoints, and I thought it was such a great little blurb that I read in the Desert Sun. And the bottom line is that we're here to promote public safety. My husband and I live in the Cove in Cathedral City, and Cathedral Canyon and that cross in Highway 111, that is just a packed little area, and I cannot tell you how having the motorcycle patrols out there has really calmed everybody down. And I know in the interests of public safety, having these DUI checkpoints is really valuable. So thank you so much for what you do for our community. I am also the chair of the Coachella Valley Mountains Conservancy, and Jim Karpiak is the executive director, and he announced to us that he is going to be retiring at the end of May. So we're now on a subcommittee to organize that whole process for hiring a new executive director. But I have learned so much over my 2 years participating in that conservancy, because they do the land acquisitions in support of the multiple species habitat plan that impacts and influences our entire valley. So it's really a very interesting process, and we were talking about the kinds of background that a new candidate would have, and much of it is, knowing lots about real estate and even legally, how to purchase property and go through the auctions and all those kinds of things, and then great communication skills. So anyway, we'll be finalizing that job offer and posting it probably within 10 days. I had the opportunity to do a phone interview with a person who's interested in participating in our Historical Society Commission, and that the person was just a wonderful candidate, and that moving forward, and we'll be presenting it to City Council in a couple of weeks. We have our next emergency preparedness workshop. There are lots of them, and thank you, Fire Chief Contreras, for organizing such a wonderful array of events that the community can really learn how to prepare themselves and their family in the event of an emergency. So this next one that's open to all the community is going to be at Agua Caliente Elementary School. We've had one, the first one at the amphitheater. We've had two at our wonderful library right in the center of Cathedral City, and then we had a most recent one at St. Louis Catholic Church up in the Cove, and now we're going to have Agua Caliente for those families that are in that particular area. So it's February 3rd, it's from 11 to noon, and for the first 20 people there, they get these buckets with 10 essential items in case there's an emergency. So we hope to see you there. The last thing is, I think Dr. Stone mentioned that, Stone James mentioned that they have a new spa in Desert Princess country, which I didn't know about, and so I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. But they're having the ribbon cutting and the grand opening at 4 o'clock this Friday, so if you're interested in spa services, we have it right here in our wonderful community. And then I won't mention about the goal setting because I'm sure all sorts of folks will be mentioning that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. And next is Councilmember Raymond Gregory, please.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So as all of us have been, we've been busy. Our last regular meeting was on Wednesday, January 10th. And at the time, I know we had talked about the Palm Springs International Film Festival was in full swing. And that continued on through that weekend. And I know many of us joined in the festivities and watched some films. I only saw 5, so I talked to some people that said, they saw 20, so that's great. They did far better than I did. But other than the opening and the ending, all the other 3 that I saw were here at the Mary Pickford. They had many great selections, and the Mary Pickford was of course very busy, and so was the area around downtown. And so I just want to mention, of course, that continued, and that it appeared to be a great event for our city. And hopefully it wasn't just coincidental people running around. Hopefully our local businesses also saw a nice bump, and people got a chance to visit and look at our Snowfest Village while it was still up, and have fun at the film festival. And then in that last weekend on Saturday, January 13th, unrelated, the Bully Fest was here in the amphitheater. So I had an opportunity to bring my my dog, who is not a bulldog of any type, but he didn't seem to notice. My son came with us and thought maybe he would feel self-conscious because he wasn't a bulldog. He's a red heeler, but he didn't see. Dogs don't think that way. He thought he had a great time wandering around with the dogs, and it was quite a well-attended event. it's nice to see those events that come on and they're actually basically renting our amphitheater. We were, I think, a modest sponsor of the event, which was appropriate, but that they do so well, are well attended, and I know they all had a good time and were enjoying themselves there. And of course, it's also good business for our local businesses. I know the Luchador was quite busy during that period. In fact, we went over there and had lunch, so it's a nice connection. So hopefully that's, again, just we've had a few of these now that have been tied together that others have put on, and hopefully that'll continue to happen. And then after that weekend was MLK Day weekend, and then later that week, I think I have mentioned CVAG has a finance committee. It's not like the rest of the committees that we serve on, in the sense that every city has somebody on it, but there are a couple of electeds that are on that committee and a couple of city staff. And I've been the chair now. This is my second year of being the chair of that committee. And CVAG is looking at having an ERP set up so that much like we have had, and we've had some advances in being able to do things electronically and have those computer systems work together. So they are in the process of that. And so I am serving on their subcommittee, evaluating their ERP. So we did have a meeting last Friday, and I'll have a couple more while we go through that process of evaluating. Unfortunately, they have mostly the CVAG staff that will use these different programs from finance and from their HR and from their engineering. So which is great, because I'm not technically able to say what features are the best, but my part is really just to kind of look at it as an overview and make sure it makes sense and a good fit for CVAG. So I'm just mentioning that because I'm doing that, and as part of my representation from the city on the CVAG Finance Committee. So most of the exciting stuff is coming up. I know for me, I'll be representing the city tomorrow and Friday. The Riverside County Transportation Commission will be in town. They'll actually be in Palm Springs. They'll be having their annual conference, which means they all get to travel out to Palm Springs and have a good time. But we already live here, so we have a good time all the time. And so they'll be in town tomorrow and Friday, and I'll be attending that conference representing the city, of course, watching out for the Coachella Valley. And I think I've mentioned that they're serving as their second vice chair, so it gives me a little bit more work to do with the Transportation Commission. But that's what I'll be doing the next couple of days. And then actually starting on Friday, I wanted to mention that the Desert Open Studios 2024 will be taking place. And what that is a bunch of the art studios throughout Coachella Valley, and many of them are in Cathedral City, will be displaying their art at various locations, including in our Perez Art District and also at our library during this period, a number of artists. And there is a book available, I think it's available here in City Hall, that outlines all of the artists and the locations, but that'll be taking place starting Friday and going through Sunday. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check it out. They do have a website also, desertopenstudios.com. And my understanding is it's free. It's a chance to go through and see all of the different art throughout the valley, but a lot of it is right here in Cathedral City, so you don't have to go very far. We have many fine artists. And then, as has already been mentioned, on Saturday, will be our goal setting and strategic planning session here for the City Council. It's an annual event that we do to review where we are with our goals and continue to update our planning for the year moving ahead. It's at the Doubletree here in Cathedral City, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. So if you are really interested in getting in depth on government, you'll never have so much information given to you as you will at this one event. It'll run into the afternoon, but you're welcome to come for all or part of it. And I know we look forward to a chance to review all of our the department's goals and all of their work in the past year and plans that are ongoing and that will be starting again in this coming year. So again, that'll be this Saturday starting at 8 a.m. And then coming up really soon, Friday, February 2nd is when it starts, is the Taste of Jalisco here in Cathedral City. So that will be before our next council meeting. That is one of our big signature events. If you haven't been to it, it is something you don't want to miss. It's a celebration of all things Jalisco, including our city's relationship with our sister city, the city of Tequila. And I know there'll be some officials, that's what I had heard, will be attending, and there'll be some recognition there. And of course, song, food, tequila, other drinks, and the Lucha Libre Wrestlers on Saturday and Sunday is a big draw. They're very, very popular. And so that's all occurring here in downtown Cathedral City at our amphitheater, and some parties over at the nearby casino here, the Agua Caliente Casino. So you can get information on that at tasteofjalisco.com, I believe. They have their own website. So tasteofjalisco.com. Check that out, all out, Friday, February 2nd through February 4th. You don't want to miss it and hear us talking about it afterwards. It's a chance for you to go. And many, many things going on downtown. It's already been mentioned, yoga. And then just a little teaser, if you didn't hear our earlier meeting, we do have the Tastes and Sounds of Cathedral City coming up really soon, starting in mid-February. That'll be every Tuesday running through March. And so if you want to get a little, I'm sure we're going to be talking about it a lot more as it comes up, because we will be meeting, I guess, right after the beginning of that. So the first one will be on Tuesday, February 13th, so we won't be meeting before that. But they also have a site. It's part of our Discover Cathedral City site. So if you go to tasteandsounds.discovercathedralcity.com, you'll be able to see all of the information on Taste and Sounds of Cathedral City. And I know we'll be making it our usual Tuesday evening event, putting it on the calendar and coming down every Tuesday evening. Again, for music, entertainment, food, drinks, and fun here in Cathedral City. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. There's so many good things going on. I will just leave it there.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Gregory. Councilmember Ernesto Gutierrez, would you like to go next, please?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you're staying warm and dry. I know the weather's been a little bit different out there, but I love it. Since we last met, I attended a Coachella Valley Association of Governments Conservation Committee meeting, in which the committee talked about a resolution to get the city of Coachella to pay back some of the money that they owe to the Conservancy for tip fees. What that is fees that are paid by each city, and they are paid towards the Conservancy, in which they go out there and they purchase land to conserve for future generations to come. And the city of Coachella has been falling back, paying that money to the Conservancy. So we talked about how we can actually work with them so they can pay back all the money that they owe. I also spoke with a resident that is having code enforcement issues. He lives in Dream Homes, and he went ahead and poured a driveway without getting any permits. So he's asking me to go by there and see how I can help him with. I will be going probably tomorrow morning and seeing what he did and ask him to tear it down or talk to our building department. But they do a great job here at the building department trying to advise people that before you build, just come and ask questions, see what they can do before they spend all that money and later on having to remove it or make costly adjustments to it. With this rain, I got a phone call from a resident in the Horizon neighborhood, which was very concerned as to what would happen if the rain became a little too much. Will they be hit like they did with the last storm? And I told them no, that there was a generational storm, that the likeliness of that happening are not very good, and just to pray and to keep her fingers crossed, and that was it. I checked on some of the residents to see how they were doing and how their progress was coming along with all their reconstruction of their homes. And they're working on getting their homes back to what they used to be, but they have ways to go. I can see that some of the contractors are still taking advantage of them. They're not working as they should, and the time is just taking forever, and they're just getting frustrated, but they are moving along. They still have at least 3 to 6 months before they finish some of the homes, if not even longer. And I did visit Fraser's Pest Control, which was a business that was also damaged by the storm and all that mud that went into their business. They're operating, they're opened, they're back opened, and they still have some work to do, but they're about 80 to 90% to where they were prior to the storm, and they're happy to be open again and have their employees at their office working from there instead of their homes. And I also heard from a resident regarding illegal food vendors, which I contacted our city manager and immediately was taken care of. Our city is trying to work with a lot of these vendors, trying to get them to get the proper permits and make sure that they comply with all our ordinances here at the city. And our city is really trying to work with them, but when they don't comply, we're actually trying to enforce the ordinance. I also heard from a resident that has been waiting for the traffic signal at Landau and McCollum, that when is it going to get installed? And I informed them that we are working on it, that it's out for bid, and it should be, I believe that construction of that should be starting shortly, I believe. And I also spoke with a resident that lives in the Dream Homes area who saw that there's actually a construction group, and the city actually, or the contractor, broke ground in the Dream Homes Park. They were so excited to see that things are moving along, and he was just delighted to see that the area could possibly move forward at some point. And I also spoke with a resident that he is a coach that coaches kids. It's not from the AYSO league, but it's a private league that a lot of the kids actually play, not just here, but also in other cities. And they're having issues. I haven't discussed this with our city manager, but they're having issues trying to find a field to practice on and play. And since the soccer park has a contract with AYSO, I'm going to contact or talk to our city manager to see how we can make it work and have all of our local kids practice, not just because they don't belong to AYSO, but possibly they can have a place to practice. I heard that, of course, the Doubletree is having a grand opening this coming February 3rd, I believe. But people that don't know, the Doubletree also opened a game room, a virtual game room. And what they do, they have virtual golf, tennis, and other sports. And they also have a full bar, and they also sell food. And that particular area can be, or particular booths can be either rented for the day or by the hour. I just stopped by to take a look at it last week. And it's a beautiful, beautiful venue that it should be attracting a lot of locals. And finally, what did I do here? Okay, as it was mentioned earlier, this coming Saturday we have a goal setting, and the public is welcome to join us. It starts at 8 a.m. It goes on till about 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and as Councilmember Gregory mentioned, that's lots of information that every resident will be interested in hearing what we have to talk about, and also what we have completed in the last year, in the last couple of years. And that concludes my report, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I get the honor of saying, yeah, all that. That's what I was going to talk about, all that stuff that they talked about. It's all good. Just a couple little tiddly bits to add on to what they said. Taste of Jalisco, one of the cool things is this is our 27th year celebrating as a sister city. And I'm hardly even 27 years old, so, something like that. And then the high school band, I don't know if we talked about that. That would be the February 13th through the 9th. They're going to start, the band is going to start with the first 2 weeks of the Taste and Sound. Then it goes on to other groups and some great, like Dreamboats. And Councilmember what is your friend, Giselle Wu? Is that her name? Giselle Wu and the Night Owls will wind it up, and she's a Cathedral City woman. We used to say girl, but I think she's all grown up now. And then the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic has been mentioned, but it's a big deal. I mean, if you guys have never been, it's just huge. So they're going to be playing from the 22nd to the 25th. The Dream Homes, I want to say Dream Homes. What the heck is it called? Something, what is that? Big League Dreams, thank you. Dream Homes sounded better. Big League Dreams is there in the same parking lot as the library, so there's lots of parking and you can access it. They sell tickets per day or as a package purchased all together. But I think there's somewhere between 30 and 40 different teams that are going to play. I'm from Oregon. Both State University of Oregon and Oregon State will be playing. And that's, just some of those things. Everybody's talked about goal setting. I hope that you will wish us luck, that we can do right by our city, because every single thing you heard from them is just an example of how far we've come in a few short years. It's like being a child, and in the beginning, you can hardly roll over, and then you can hardly crawl, and then you pull yourself up. Before you know it, you're running, right? And I think we're running. So hang on, big things are coming. And I think we are ready to hear our consent agenda, City Clerk.
Item number 3A is to waive full reading of ordinances on agenda. Item number 3B is the minutes approval of January 10th, 2024. Item number 3C is to receive and file payment of claims and demands for December of 2023. Item number 3D is to adopt a resolution certifying the completion of public improvements in portions of track number 28639-1 and track number 32858, and authorize the release of securities pursuant to HPH Home Builders 2000 LP's improvement agreement with the city and amendment number 2 to that same agreement. Item number 3E is amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement with CASC Engineering and Consulting, Inc. for NPDES program consulting services. And item number 3F is to approve amendments to the regulations covering executive, administrative, professional, confidential, and other particular employees. And that concludes the consent agenda items.
Thank you very much. Will you search out if there are any members who would like to make comment on this, please?
So I don't have any request to speak forms for any of the consent agenda items, but if you are a member of the public and you wish to provide comments on any of the consent agenda items, now is the time. Please raise your hand. And I see no hands.
And does anybody have any comments they'd like to make before we take this to a vote? No? Looks like we're good to go. So would somebody like to make that motion? And the mover is Raymond Gregory, and the second is Ernesto Gutierrez, and it is?
The motion carries with Mayor Carnevale being absent.
Thank you so much. So items pulled from the consent agenda,
There are none.
and any public hearings?
There are none.
See, she's so easy to get along with. Legislative actions. We will start with the special use permit, Tour de Palm Springs 2024, and this is going to be presented by our Communication and Events Director, Ryan Hunt.
Springs SUP. This has been an annual proposal that has been submitted to us for quite a few years. I was told the organizers were not able to make an appearance tonight because of some changes in some of the routes that they've had to make due to some of the washout that they experienced, particularly in the Desert Hot Springs area, as they prepare for the February 9th and 10th Tour de Palm Springs event. So it's not going to be too many surprises. It's pretty much the same proposal as last year. This is the 26th annual tour, and it's not a race. They want me to specify that each year. It's Saturday, February 10th is when it'll be tracking through Cathedral City. I'll go through the routes here in just a second. Thousands of bicyclists from around the world participate each year, and the 56-mile, 85-mile, and 102-mile routes are all running through Cathedral City, with that main thoroughfare once again being Dinah Shore Drive. So this is the 56-mile route, as you can see. Once it gets past Mission Hills Country Club, coming over from Rancho Mirage, it'll continue onward towards Big League Dreams, Cathedral City, passing Canyon Mobile Home Park, until it moves out to Demuth. It's on that track for Dinah Shore Drive, which would require personnel from our staff to be there, both from Public Works and Public Safety. The 85-mile route, very similar. You'll see a similar trajectory for a lot of these, but that one also passes through Cathedral City through Dinah Shore. And these are updated routes. These are the newest ones that we've received for the 2024 event. And then the 102-mile route, again, which kind of curves up a little bit differently through Rancho Mirage, kind of on the Colony side, and then towards Big League Dreams, Planet Fitness, that track will continue. So all modified routes with not quite the exact same duration, but all three do run through Dinah Shore. And Cathedral City High School has been a water stop for them in the past. I've been told that actually has been canceled due to the, I guess, some of the changes and modifications that they're making to the routes. But I did get confirmation from the executive director today that every route that I've just shown you does run through Cathedral City, even if it's for a small portion, which does require a certificate of insurance that we asked for, $3 million. They provided for an aggregate cost protecting the city of Cathedral City. That was also in your packet, in addition to the SUP. So event organizers are once again asking the city council to sponsor the special use permit application fee of $510. The city did sponsor that fee in 2023. Police, these are estimates that are similar from last year, a little more than $6,000 for 5 officers and 1 sergeant for 8 hours in overtime pay. Public Works estimates it a little bit north of $3,000 for workers at 8 hours in overtime pay, and supplies are also needed. So that comes at another pretty much an annual cost around that same ballpark, about $9,500. The tourist provided an insurance certificate, which I just mentioned, was included in your packet, as you see, for $4 million in general aggregate coverage, naming the city as an additional insured. And with that, I'm going to leave the sponsorship up to you all as a council. We're just simply recommending as a staff the approval of special use permit with the certificate of insurance that covers the city in case of liability claims. So, and with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you might have.
Councilmember Gutierrez, please.
Yeah, Ryan, my question is, what local organizations benefit from this event?
Yeah, they've listed in the past, the Boys and Girls Club of Cathedral City, I believe, has been a beneficiary, as well as the Salvation Army, or two that I know off the top of my head, that over the last couple of years have received some of the proceeds, and those are both located in Cathedral City.
And I will be participating in this event, but I did not see the tricycle route.
For clowns.
I'll work that in as a recommendation next year when we get the proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Councilmember Lamb, please.
I just have one question. So what does the sponsorship actually look like? What will that look like to you?
Really no specification to provide for you this year. Unfortunately, Councilmember, we did have a little bit of a change in leadership there. And so last year we did, I believe, get our logo on the website for Tour de Palm Springs and a t-shirt, event t-shirt. I have not received any requests for that this year related to this proposal. So to me, it wouldn't quite be what we got last year as the sponsorship. Thank you.
Councilmember Gregory, any questions? All right.
Thank you.
Do we vote on this now?
After we take public comment.
Well, my next thing is asking for a staff report from the city manager. So I'm guessing something comes in between that.
You actually skipped that part, Mayor Pro Tem.
all right.
So you jumped right into it.
Jumped right in. Well, it was right after the tour to Palm Springs. But okay, so do we have any questions, further questions from council? Are we all good?
I will be able to get possibly the conference to contemplate doing the sponsorship of $510 for the fee only. But of course, we still have to wait for public comment.
Yes. Madam Clerk.
So I don't have any request to speak forms, but if you are a member of the public and you wish to provide public comments on this item, now is the time. If you would like to do that, please raise your hand.
Kevin, you tricked us back there, right at the same time his hand went up.
So I see no hands.
Do we have any other recommendations from council on what they'd like to see moving forward?
So was that a motion that you made to include the sponsorship?
No, it was up for discussion.
Well, then I would move we approve the item and with the sponsorship of the use permit fee.
And a second? So seconded. Get in there. Thank you. City Clerk?
So you seconded it, is that correct?
No, Ernesto was supposed to second it. I thought I came in right after him.
So I have that Councilmember Gregory made the motion, and I have that Councilmember Lamb made the second on the screen.
All right, let's call it that.
And the motion carries with Mayor Carnevale being absent.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. And are we moving right onto the cooperative agreement between Coachella Valley Association of Governments and the City of Cathedral City for the construction of CV Link Community Connector Project with the Dream Homes Park project?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'll introduce Andres Perez from our engineering department who will present this item. You'll recall when you approved the contract award for the park, it included this connector with the promise that CVAG would reimburse us. This is the agreement that will facilitate that reimbursement. Andres?
Correct. Thank you, Mr. City Manager, for the introduction. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. Pleasure to be here tonight to present this cooperative agreement between CVAG and the city for the CV Link Community Connector project here at the Dream Homes Park. Now, as a reminder, this CV Link Community Connector is located in the Dream Homes neighborhood. It will connect the CV Link Trail, which is west of the Whitewater River Channel, and the the Dream Homes Park project. Now, some background on CV Link. The Coachella Valley Link is a 40-mile-plus multimodal pathway that extends from the city of Palm Springs to Coachella and offers users, bicyclists, pedestrians, and neighborhood electric vehicles, which are street-legal golf carts that can go up to 25 miles per hour, access additional trail access throughout the Coachella Valley. Now, here within the city, the first segment of the CV Link Trail was completed in 2018. It's 2.3 miles, and it extends from Vista Chino to Ramona Road. And as I mentioned previously, the CV Link Trail is west of the Whitewater River and east of the Dream Homes neighborhood. And currently today, we have one existing community link connector just off of Chia Place. Now, with collaboration with the city and CVAG, CVAG applied and received funding from the Clean California Local Grant Program to construct a second community connector. And discussions with city staff, our designer, and CVAG staff, we decided to place the second community connector at the central plaza of the Dream Homes Park. Now, this connector will feature a shade structure, wayfinding signage, and trash benches and trash receptacles, similar to what's already existing on the CV Link pathway. Now, with both CVAG's project and the city's Dream Homes Park project, we decided to have the projects both be constructed simultaneously. Here, CVAG would prepare the plans and specs and estimate for their project, and the city would place it as a bid additive alternate. In return, the city would manage the construction of both projects, while CVAG would reimburse the city 100% of the eligible cost for their CV Link Community Connector. So the project was placed out to bid for the Dream Homes Park, and on October 18th, we had the bid opening. The CVAG, the bid additive alternate for the CV Link Community Connector was just under $465,000. CVAG staff did review and approve the construction cost for the bid portion. And at the November 8th City Council meeting, Council awarded a construction contract award to Urban Habitat for the construction of the base bid and bid alternate. So the following month in December, CVAG created the cooperative agreement here, which emphasizes again, as mentioned earlier, that the city would manage the construction of both projects. CVAG will reimburse the city for 100% of the cost, and the cooperative agreement also includes a 15% contingency in just under $70,000. The total amount for this cooperative agreement is just under $535,000. Now, there is no fiscal impact for this agenda item, as City Council has already approved the allocation of funds from the city's capital improvement project. Again, these funds will be reimbursed by CVAG. This project aligns with our 5-year strategic plan, Goal B, community investment. Thus, as detailed in your staff report, staff recommends City Council authorize the mayor and the city manager to execute the cooperative agreement with CVAG to construct the CiviLink Community Connector with the Dream Homes Park project in the amount not to exceed of $535,000. This concludes my presentation. I'd like to hand it back to you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Mr. Perez? Yes, Councilmember Gutierrez does.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. My question is, both links are going to be constructed simultaneously as the park is being built. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, yes, both projects. We have the Dream Homes Park project and the CiviLink Community Connector, which connects to the CiviLink and the Dream Homes Park project. So,
And they're all going to be completed at the same time?
it'll be completed, yes, simultaneously by our contractor.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Madam Clerk, do we have anybody in the audience who would like to speak on this?
I don't have any request to speak forms, but if you would like to provide public comment on this item, please raise your hand. I see no hands.
Thank you very much. Back to council. Anything else? No? Then are we ready for a motion? Well, yes, we are. So it looks like we're done. I keep waiting for 5, but Mark's not here.
So there is a motion by Councilmember Lamb and a second by Councilmember Gregory, and the motion carries with Mayor Carnevale being absent.
Thank you very much. Trying to kill the man there? Just looked like it.
Not intentionally.
So next, we are speaking about traffic calming committee equipment purchases. And may we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and I'm pleased to introduce to you, probably most of you have not met David Razzo, who is a new analyst in our engineering department, and will be presenting this item on traffic calming equipment.
Welcome, David.
City Manager, thank you for the introduction. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I will be presenting the Traffic Calming Committee equipment purchases item on the agenda. The city is addressing speeding concerns on our streets, particularly in our residential neighborhoods. The City Public Works, along with our police department, are responsible for addressing those needs and concerns and implementing the most appropriate traffic calming measure to reduce speeding. That might help. So our City Traffic Calming Committee initiated meetings back in August, but due to the Tropical Storm Hilary, postponed until October. Staff from various departments, including our engineering, fire, fleet, maintenance, police, and public works maintenance, gathered together to discuss traffic calming measures for temporary use. The goals of the Traffic Calming Committee were to work with Police Traffic Enforcement Division on immediate traffic calming measures. This particular item of focus is to procure and implement temporary traffic calming measures on city streets. That is the focus of the presentation. Our goal is also to evaluate temporary traffic calming measures' effectiveness, implement the appropriate measure, and update the city traffic calming procedures for internal procedures and constituents. Some of the proposed calming equipment items, we have a trailer with the cost of just a little under $6,000 with the dimensions, along with a city wrap. Maybe similar, familiar with our Public Works wrap, it'll look very similar to that. We also have the cost of our speed humps, speed radar feedback signs, speed limit signs. These pictures are going to be very similar to what those items will look like. And lastly, we have our speed hump signs and our flashing speed limit signs. Here we have an implementation flow chart. Now, this is for temporary measures, and this is an ongoing process as we continue to gather data and to determine the most appropriate steps. As of right now, we were to say a resident submit a community action request. The next step would go to our queue, and from there, it would follow our standard operating procedures. We would then conduct a speed survey, and that just to gather data to determine what the speeding looks like. It would continue on with each following step. Now, please remember, our goal is to implement temporary measures. So ideally, we'd want to have an exit plan. We'd want them to reduce speeding, and we can move on. The fiscal impact. This is part of our approved biannual budget. We will be requesting funds from the Equipment Replacement Account 611 and the Traffic Safety Fund 233. The traffic calming vendors are below with the costs for each vendor. As part of our 5-year strategic plan, this is going to be met with our Goal B community investment as well as our Action B12. Lastly, staff is recommending the City Council to authorize the city engineer on behalf of the Traffic Calming Committee to execute the purchase of the aforementioned items in the amount of $24,607.17 to implement temporary traffic measures on our city streets. Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from council?
I do.
Well, just hold, wait a minute. Ernesto Gutierrez is up.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Hello and welcome to the city.
Thank you.
Okay. My first question is, now, do you have certain locations that this will be placed on to actually check for traffic studies, surveys?
So as of right now, and we will be receiving data, should a resident reach out and say, I'm concerned about speeding on my street, they would follow the proper protocol to request an involvement from the city.
So a resident would have to submit some kind of concern
Yes.
from their streets?
Yes,
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you. Councilmember Gregory?
Welcome, and thank you for the presentation.
Thank
So the numbers on your presentation don't quite match what was in the posted.
My apologies.
Agendas.
Yes, initially, we were waiting on a quote for specific signs in that initial item. They were not there. However, we have since added them to the presentation.
Okay, so the amount of equipment didn't change, it was just a pricing change? Can you go back on the slides to where you had the items listed? That one right there. So
Correct.
even the new agenda, because there was the original
Yeah.
and then there was a revised one, called for a total of $23,151.17. But that's not the same
Correct.
amount.
The change came with the Roadline products, specifically a sign, this particular one, well, very similar to this particular one. The item on the right, the speed limit sign of 25 miles an hour. The goal is to not set any of our residents up for failure, and so we want to ensure that accurate lighting is available, and so the change came with that particular lighting signed. Yeah.
All right, so we'll just need to amend the recommendation when we make the motion to the corrected amount, because that's
Councilmember-
not what's reflected in the agenda.
We'll correct that. We noticed that the fiscal impact section was updated with the amount shown in the presentation, but there was an earlier summary table that did not get updated, and so we'll make sure that that's amended.
And so what is our corrected amount? Is that the 25,000?
24,607.
$24,607.17. My apologies.
Okay.
We'll just drive the clerk crazy if we approve the wrong amount in finance, and then they'll say, well, what did they approve? So
That's
My
right.
apologies.
that's okay.
Come get us. Are there any other questions?
I didn't have necessarily a question, and welcome to Cathedral City. It's great.
Thank you.
But we've had residents come to our council meetings talking about areas that they felt were of high need for traffic calming measures. So it's not a question, but it's my hope is that the communication with the engineering department and the police to prioritize those particular areas for these measures if they are approved. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I have a question. It's more of a learning question for me. So the pillows that you put out,
Cushions, yes.
You put cushions.
Yeah, they
okay,
look like
cushions.
pillows.
We used to call them pillows, right? So if those are temporary, how do you affix them into the street, and how do you remove them without damaging either the cushion or the street?
Ideally, those are the last measures, correct, for temporary measures. Those are the last things we want. The focus is to not get to that point because we do not want to obstruct the road in any way unless necessary. These cushions are designed for multiple uses. They have quite a lifetime on them, and they're essentially bolted into the road when we implement them.
So they make holes into the asphalt of the street?
Correct.
And when they're removed, do you fill those holes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and there's not much visual impairment as a result of that?
No,
I mean, it's
and
not-
again,
Doesn't make the street ugly?
Yeah, we try to avoid that, which is why that would be one of the last steps.
Sure, I appreciate that, and I
Absolutely.
appreciate the answer. I just imagine, I don't know, I imagine them slipping away or something. So at this point, do we have any questions from the public?
We do not have any request to speak forms for this item, but if you are a member of the public and you wish to provide public comment for this item, please raise your hand. I see no hands raised.
And one last lap around to council, anything?
I have one more question. My question is, when you install this temporary device, how long are you going to leave this device installed in that location?
There are a lot of factors to consider. The usage of that street, the timeline associated based off the information we've received from the previous steps. So it can vary. I cannot give you an exact timeline of that, but I can follow up for that.
If you can, please, because
Yes.
there's streets that, of course, if you use them during the day,
Yeah,
on a Monday is different than a Sunday morning.
correct.
So it will be very great information to actually leave them there for however long it takes to get the accurate information.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And this is the time that I have to say to the people, how could it be 6:25? We're just almost done. How could that even be? Are we in some alternate universe tonight? But we do just have a discussion on,
And just to be clear, that the motion is for the amended amount of $24,607.17
it is.
for the record. Thank you.
Amount. And we go on to the discussion on future agenda items.
Do you want me to call out the vote result for that item?
If you are so inclined, I just see it on my screen. I don't know what's wrong with those folks out there.
So the motion was made by Councilmember Gregory and the second made by Mayor Pro Tem Ross, and the motion carries with Mayor Carnevale being absent.
Thank you for being on top of me. I really do appreciate it. And so then we discuss future agenda items, if anybody has the hankering to do so. Hanker? We are, but for tonight, guess what? We're adjourned. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
The next regular city council meeting will be held on February 14th on Valentine's Day. We're all giving up our Valentine's Day, so you better be here.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
No. Hey, John. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was. It was, for sure. Well, you won't say that after Saturday.